Hi, 8th grade. I hope you are doing well and you're learning and growing as you're studying online, and you're just thinking of creative ways to make the most of the situation, and we'll pray for that today. So let's start with prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love. We thank you that you are with us in the midst of all this, Lord. I ask that you continue to just guide and direct us and be with us. Help us to make the most of every situation, and help us to stay focused on you no matter what happens. And just bless our time together, and may these things that I say be from you, Lord. I pray all these things in your name. Amen. Okay, Proverbs 5. Warning against adultery. I want to start off with saying, well, you might think, we're in 8th grade, or we're young, or whatever. Why would this be important? I want you to think of it this way. At your age, it's very easy to sit there and say, or maybe when you get a little older, okay, yeah, I'm going to date this person, I'm going to date that person, and this person, and that person, and just whatever. And if you do that, if you make those choices, that could have consequences with your future spouse and marriage and things like that. And so be warned about those people that are like, hey, come do this, hey, come do that. And that's where I want you to take it from today. And also just be aware of it for the future. Like, if you know that certain things could happen, you can prepare yourself, you can protect yourself, and it's just a good habit to be in. So let's start. Warning against adultery. My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Listen well to my words of insight, that you may maintain discretion, and your lips may preserve that, and your lips may preserve knowledge. For the lips of an adulteress drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end she is bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword. Her feet goes down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave. She gives no thought to the ways of life. Her paths are crooked, but she knows it's not. This is not to sit there and be like, ooh, honey, it's gonna taste good, and focus on the sweetness. Like, have you ever ate something and at first you're like, ooh, that tastes good, and then it just like sours in your stomach and you're like, oh, I don't feel good. That's what this is talking about. Like, there are going to be people that are going to be like, look, come do this, it's so great, it's so awesome. And on the outside, it is going to look great and awesome, but then you're going to get in a situation that's going to be harmful to you and just not healthy and not just what it shouldn't be. Her paths are crooked. She gives no thought to the way of life. She's not thinking about what she's doing. She's not thinking about how she's affecting your life. A lot of the people that are just out there to have fun for one night, or get attention to certain people, they're not thinking about the consequences of that. They're living in that moment. And honestly, they don't care about you or who they're affecting. You think about like human trafficking, okay? That person that is giving that human being, that woman, or sometimes man, to guys to do with whatever, he's not sitting there and saying, oh, I hope they don't hurt her feelings. Oh, I hope they're gentle with her. Like, they don't care. And the people that are coming to essentially have sex with these people, like, they're just in it for themselves. They're not gentle with them. A lot of times these women are bruised and battered and just have all this awful things happen to them. So her ways are going to go down to death. It's going to be bitter. She's not going to think about you. She's not going to protect you. It's just not a good way to go. Okay, verse 7. Now then, my son, listen to me. Do not turn aside from what I say. Keep to the path far from her. Do not go near the door of her house, lest you give your best strength to others, and your years to one who is cruel, lest strangers feast on your wealth, and your toil enrich another man's house. At the end of your life you will groan, and when your flesh and body are spent. So don't give yourself to somebody like just for the moment. Just sit there and say, oh, I want this, here's the money. Oh, I want this, here's the money. Oh, I want this, here's... Don't waste yourself. Don't waste your finances. Like, that's just not a way that you want to live. You think about it, these people that are involved in trafficking, they're just in it for the money. And I'm not talking about the women. A lot of times they're in situations where they need the money or the funds or whatever. But like, if you're gonna go and you're gonna be with that person, and you're gonna go and be with that person, if you go, like, eventually you're just gonna be poor and you're gonna have no money. And think of it this way. Even if we're not, talking about sex or any of that level, if you have one girlfriend one week, another girlfriend another week, one boyfriend one week, one boyfriend another week, having a girlfriend is expensive, because you've got birthday gifts and Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's, and so it just, like, it takes money, it takes energy, it takes focus, and you've got to sit there and say, like, do I want to spend my time with that person? Do I want to invest myself in that person? Because you end up giving yourself, or at least part of yourself, to that person, part of yourself to that situation. And a lot of times you won't be able to get that part back. So it's a very good thing just to be aware and not live a life of carelessness. Okay, now we are on verse 12. Don't blow away here. You will say, how I hate discipline. How my heart spurns correction. I would not obey my teachers or listen to my instructors. I have come to the brink of utter ruin in the midst of the whole assembly. This guy's recognizing, I didn't listen. I didn't pay attention. I did not accept the correction. I did not accept the instruction. And it has ruined me. Because I made these decisions, because I went down these paths that I shouldn't have, I'm done for. Like, there's nothing left. I'm ruined. And it's happening in front of all of these people. Like, you've got to realize that a lot of times, the little decisions others might not know about, but eventually, like, if you're making decisions and if people are finding out, oh, they made this decision, oh, they made that decision, like, that's going to affect your reputation. That's going to affect what people are going to think about you. That's going to affect, what kind of jobs you're able to get, who wants to be around you. Like, be careful. Make sure that you're listening to your mother and father's instruction. Make sure that you're taking it to heart, because if you don't, it could have dire consequences. Okay. Verse 15. Drink water from your own cistern, running water from your own well. Should your spring overflow in the streets, your streams of water in the public square, let them be yours alone, never to be shared with strangers. May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth. A loving doe, a graceful deer, may her breasts satisfy you always. May you ever be captivated by her love. Why be captivated, my son, by an adulteress? Why embrace the bosom of another man's wife? This is saying, don't go around and have relationships with others. Take the time to find the one, and be careful as you're dating and things, not to sit there and say, okay, this person can have this of me, and this person can have this of me, and this person can have this of me. Like, because that's going to affect your marriage in the future. That's going to affect the relationship and things. You guys have asked me before the story between Mr. Barr and I, and just one of the things that I will continually be excited about and proud of, and just still to this day puts an amazing smile on my face, is we were each other's first. We were each other's first kiss. We were each other's really first boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, and we waited for each other. We waited until our wedding night. Like, I saved my heart for him, and he saved his heart for me. And so I'm not sitting here as we go through life saying, oh, I remember that one time with that one guy, and like, there's none of that. We are totally committed to each other and able to totally focus on each other, and we're not sitting there and looking at our past and thinking about others and other situations. Like, the only thing in my memory is just special times that I've had with him, and special things that he has done for me, and just great moments that we had with each other. And that's because we listen to our father's instruction and listen to our mother's teaching and walk the straight and narrow, at least in that way. We've made mistakes in other places. Definitely, we all have. But it's so special, because marriage is sweet. It is beautiful. And so is sex. And the reason that it is that way is because God designed it. And if we're following his ways and listening to his word and doing what he would have us to do, then it will be sweet. It will be precious. It will be beautiful. And it's just, you think of this picture, a graceful deer, like, being captured by each other's love, smiling at each other, and just being like, oh, Lord. Like, I remember sitting there and saying, Lord, if it's your will, I would love to spend the rest of my life with that guy. And just, even as we were dating, like, the warmth of a hug, and just knowing that he cared for me, and we were there for each other, during difficult and challenging times. There was one time when his brother was in a pretty serious car accident and had to be helicoptered to a hospital, and there was different surgeries and things that I had been through. We took care of each other, and he, has made some really special promises to me. Before we got married, he promised that he would be my chauffeur for the rest of my life, and I need that with my vision. And so it's just, if we're following God's ways, and if we're listening to these warnings and staying away from the adulterous woman, we have so much joy and so many sweet things to experience. And that's what I want you to understand. Okay, let's finish it off. Verse 21. For a man's ways are in full view of the Lord, and he examines all his paths. The evil deeds of a wicked man ensnare him. The cords of his sin hold him fast. He will die for lack of discipline, led astray by his own great folly. So for a man that is not true to one woman, does not walk the straight and narrow, goes the wicked way and does wicked things and does things that does not honor God, he's eventually gonna end his life. Like, his actions and what he does is gonna have the grave consequence of death. And he's led astray by his own sin, by his own folly, by his own actions. Guys, we will not be able, when the time comes and we're standing before the Lord, and he sits there and says, why should I let you into heaven? We cannot sit there and point at somebody else and say, well, because I'm better than them, or because I did this and they didn't. Like, it's just us and just our actions. And so it's important to remember that. It's important that you protect yourself, and whether you're a boy, girl, whatever, because you're made in the image of God, and he loves you and just wants the best for you. So I encourage you to live in a way that brings him honor and glory. That's it for today, guys. Talk to you later. Bye. God bless.